Arctic Rescue is SeaWorld San Diego's new Intamin family coaster making its debut for the 2023 season. It's actually their fourth new roller coaster in 6 years, and it would have been their fourth new roller coaster in even less time had COVID not happened. This is coming just after we opened Emperor earlier this year, but while that was a thrill ride, this is much more geared towards a family audience as a 48-inch height requirement, which is the same as Manta, and we have a top speed of 40 miles per hour, and this ride is going to feature 3 different launches. It's taking up a back portion of the parking lot located right next to Emperor, and the station is going to be in the former Wild Arctic building. If you ever got the chance to do that ride, I know I did, and it was terrible. I'm not going to miss it at all. But they recently gutted that building, and they're going to use that area to launch passengers into this back portion of the park in what is going to be an Arctic wildlife rescue. This is also going to use a new seating setup that we haven't seen on a ride at SeaWorld San Diego. It's what they're calling a straddle coaster. It's the same wording they used for Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And that's because these are going to be sister coasters, both opening in the same year, both very similar ride experiences. But while that one is all indoors and is using some cool switch tracks, kind of prolonging the ride experience and making up for the fact that they don't have a ton of space to work with, this one is going to be a much longer ride experience, not reuse any of the same track, because while Dark Coaster has 2,400 feet of track, it traverses some of that twice. Arctic Rescue will feature 2,800 feet of track, which interestingly enough is the exact same track length as Manta. So go figure. Each of the launches on Arctic Rescue will get progressively faster than the previous. So with the first one, we reach a top speed of 34 miles per hour. The second one boosts us up to 38. And then with the third launch, we hit our final speed, which is 40 miles per hour. A maximum height on this has not been revealed. However, don't expect it to be very tall at all. There will not be any big drops on this roller coaster. And if while you're listening to this, it sounds eerily similar to Manta, it's because it is. Manta is only 3 miles per hour faster and opened in 2012. So over 10 years later, we're getting a pretty similar ride experience. And honestly, I would say that this is not a good fit at SeaWorld San Diego if they didn't have the straddle seating setup. That is the only thing that I think makes this attraction work at this park. Yes, they deal with a lot of family audiences. I have no problem with them going with another family coaster, but when you look at what sort of ride experience this is giving, it is not that different from Manta. I mean, yeah, this is probably going to be a bit more compact. Yes, it will feature an additional launch, but the only thing that really makes this stand out from that attraction is that you're going to be riding essentially a snowmobile through the ride course. So it will be cool, and don't get me wrong, it is absolutely a better fit than what was here before. I mean, Wild Arctic sucked, so this is absolutely a great way to make use of better space. And I think that's why I have no problem with this addition, because if you look at where this attraction is going, there's not too many coasters that you would have been able to fit into this area without doing something similar to what they did with Electric Eel, where it's doing kind of the forward, backward, more in a tower coaster setup. But in terms of the actual ride experience, we're mainly be going through gradual turns, a couple little airtime bunny hops. If you've done Wave Breaker, the rescue coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio, it's going to feel very similar to that. In fact, it's so similar that they actually used all Wave Breaker footage for this announcement video. That's why we don't have an animation of the ride experience. They're just showing footage of Wave Breaker. While over there, you're riding jet skis. Here, you're going to be doing snowmobiles, which is interesting because that's the exact same thing that they're doing with Dark Coaster. So it makes me wonder if they're going to look exactly the same. Maybe they'll just change out the colors. But in terms of opening details, I've been told to expect this attraction to debut sometime in the spring. Foundation work is currently going on, and there's a bunch of track on site, so they're wasting no time with this thing. I think for me, at this point, the only things that I'm really curious about are what sort of theming elements we can see. Obviously, SeaWorld has gone a bit lighter on this with some of the most recent additions, but because that Wild Arctic building is being completely gutted and they're now using that as queue space, maybe they'll come up with something pretty cool there. But personally, I'm not expecting much actually during the ride. It would be cool if they put up some kind of like iceberg props that you're kind of navigating around, but I won't get my hopes up. That's personally just what I would do if I were in charge. But I can also recognize that because of where this attraction is located, the only time that you would be able to see some of those physical props are when you're actually on the coaster. You won't really be able to see this ride from inside the park. But in my opinion, that doesn't mean it should be used as an excuse to just not theme it at all. I think there is a lot of potential with this attraction. Bottom line is, it's gonna be fun. Yes, it's not much of a stepping stone coaster because of how similar it is to Manta. No, this type of ride was not necessarily needed, but I do think it's good that SeaWorld San Diego is continuing to add new investment. A new roller coaster is never a bad thing, so I'm excited to ride this after it eventually opens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. Let me know down in the comments below what do you think of Arctic Rescue coming to SeaWorld San Diego next year, and stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.